Good evening and welcome to tonight's council meeting for Monday, October 12th. The meeting is now called to order. Thank you for your patience. We did go a few minutes over with the work session tonight as we had a pretty full agenda and lots of good discussion. So hopefully you'll be able to go back and watch that meeting recording soon if you missed it tonight. At this time, I'll turn it over to Councilmember Lundy for our opening prayer.
All right, let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time together, Father God. We ask that you would be in this meeting with us and you would be in charge of everything that happens today, that this meeting would go as you would have it planned. It is in your name that we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Councilmember Lundy, for the opening prayer. We don't have the Pledge of Allegiance down here, but I would ask that everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for that. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion to approve our September 14th Mayor and Council meeting minutes. Moved by Councilmember Rout. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Councilmember Lundy. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, I'll turn it over to Acting Town Administrator, Mr. Tonelli, for public comment.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We advertise that this meeting will be online. It's viewed East Cross, which is close to $1 million project. There will be some fundraising events in the future. The Greenbelt American Legion is planning a bike rally drive-by on Saturday, November 7th as a fun. Review this information for meeting tonight and look forward to see everyone on Veterans Day. So is Veterans Day before our council meeting? Just a point of clarification.
Good point, because she has Wednesday, November 11th. Let me look at the calendar.
I think we had the 9th.
I think we're the 9th here.
We meet on the 9th. Okay, so our meeting will be before Wednesday the 11th, yes.
Okay.
So we'll put that on the Mayor and Council agenda as well to share.
Yep, just as another reminder.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Third comment is from Mr. Steve Weiss, who's located on Tilden Road. Steve Weiss has been a resident, has lived on Tilden Road for 45 years and never seen a flood in Bladensburg like the flood we had in September. The stormwater drains culverts became clogged with debris and flooded 2 to 3 feet above the street level and ripped out the storm drain culvert fence. Streets quickly flooded and house basements flooded with 2 to 6 feet of water in their basements. Some residents had extensive damage and had to replace a furnace, water heater, and air conditioners. Neighbors helped these flood victims. Mayor James, Councilmember Rout, Acting Town Administrator Vito Tonelli, Code Officer Reinhardt, and Prince George's County officials expected the stormwater drains and house damages. Thank you to Cornell and Public Works crew for helping remove damaged household items. And homeowners do not have flood insurance, and their homeowners insurance will not cover the damages, so hopefully they can get financial help from the county, state, or federal government. What is the status of these damage reports and possible financial help to flood victims? Question mark. I saw the video of our mayor, town staff, and town council meeting with the flood pumping station managers. What is being done to improve the flood pumping capacity to prevent future floodings and pump failures? Can you provide town residents with web links to videos to other flood meetings and flood information? It is encouraging to see our town council, town staff, town residents, and county officials coming together to deal with the flood damage and find ways to prevent future floods. Please have our town staff, town council, and county officials inspect all the stormwater drains in Bladensburg to make sure they are cleaned out and repaired. Is there a timeline to get these storm drains cleaned out, repaired, and to provide ongoing yearly maintenance? Question mark. The stormwater drain at 48th Street and Quincy Place has been clogged up and it floods the street and sidewalk every time it rains for going on 2 years now. When will the street drains be cleaned out? Plans were approved 7 years ago to install a sidewalk and replace a dirt gutter with a cement gutter on Quincy Street. When will this Quincy Street sidewalk and gutter project be done? We need to use all available resources to get all stormwater problems fixed and maintained in order to prevent future flooding. Thank you, town resident Steve Whites. And that's all I have for public comments right now. Let me just double check real quick just to make sure. Yes, that's all we have for public comments.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Tonelli, for reading the public comments. And I want to thank everyone, Mr. Whites, Ms. McCutcheon, and Ms. Green for submitting your comments to us for the public comment period. I think a lot of Mr. Whites' questions were answered in the update from Councilmember Rout. So, Mr. Whites, I hope you were watching, but if not, you know how to reach out to us and we can come by the house and chat with you and get you up to speed on things. But definitely great remarks and questions.
And something I left out at the work session when we were talking about touring the pumping station, we also talked about bringing our camera crew there to actually film it so residents can see that it is an engineered project to work with the levees there at the river and how it works and everything. It's pretty amazing. And the town residents knew that, it's an amazing piece of engineering feat. I would think that, how it all works and everything. So I think it'd be great, like a 20-minute, 25, 30-minute piece that we could put on our cable channel. And that's something that we'll have to work with our film crew. And, so it's, that's all.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that, because I was pleasantly surprised that the county was open to us doing that. I thought they'd be a little leery, but no, they said, we'd love to have you bring a camera guy out here and just let us talk to you about it, explain how it works, how things are moved through the system in terms of how the trash is collected and removed before water goes into the river. So it was fascinating, and I think it would really help our residents with their level of awareness and education on how that pumping station functions. So,
and that's one of the other pieces too, because it's amazing to see. I mean, they have to have a whole apparatus to clean the trash out before it's a pumping station, and that should be a big education piece right there that we can take back to the green team or something, because it all flows downhill, unfortunately.
And to that point, we mentioned the importance of it really tying back to our students and the school and a campaign about this is why we don't want you to litter. If they see what a soda can, my Midwestern accent almost came out, I almost said a pop can, I'm sorry, a soda can. If they see where that ends up, if it's dropped on the street, say in front of Councilmember Mendoza's house or in front of your house, and then we take them there or through the video are able to say, this is why you don't want it, this is where it's going. And, I think it would help just to relate a little better and just stress the importance of why, as children, we need them to take responsibility for keeping the community clean. Councilmember Rout?
Yes, Mayor James, and I was going to add that I know that the Prince George's County Public School System has an Earth Day curriculum at or around April, and that would be a great opportunity if we could get this up and running by April. I know that would be great Earth Day opportunity where we could share this video on our YouTube channel with, like Mayor James said, because I know I talk to my children, but I think to actually see it was amazing. I showed my children the videos, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, that's why we can't do the plastic bags." I used to hate plastic bags, so that's just a thing with me because some plastic bags ends up in the ocean and then the whales choke, and I love whales, and so that was just another reason why, and so they were like, yeah, Mommy, no plastic bags. I'm like, yeah, because if you see the actual it was amazing just to see the apparatus and how it swings, and and I think that's for any little child who wishes to be an engineer, that could spark someone's interest and they can go into that field. So I hope that we could get the recording before Earth Day.
Okay. And it is a pumping station from, 1954 or something? Yeah. So, it still looks great. but it's also something that I think we need to talk to our, talk about, work with the county and even the state to get that upgraded. So it's.
And hopefully we can get AWS to help us advocate for that because they do a lot of river cleanups and some of the other groups in the community, including Marian Dombrowski and her group. I mean, every year we do the Quincy Run cleanup, and it's to prevent what happened with the flood. But if we can only get out there a few times a year and people are dumping, they're negating our efforts. So it's like we really got to get this stress to our community. This is why, your efforts are so important. So anyway, a tangent.
It just gets funneled right there at that pumping station. So it's very important.
All great ideas. Thank you. So again, thank you for the public comment. As you see, it definitely was very timely.
We have left over from the work session too.
That's right.
So it's,
And we'll hit it one more time. It is under the community updates from the mayor and council. So the first thing we wanted to do was just share a census update. We did finally pass 60%. We're at about 60.6 or 7%, which is more than we did in 2010, but we as a team want to get those numbers up higher. So Councilmember Rowe will be organizing us for the rest of the census effort in an effort to really drive that number up. So I'll turn it over to Councilmember Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor James. So what we are doing for any member of the public that would like to join us in our last effort to get our census numbers up, we will be meeting tomorrow on a Zoom platform, which will be virtually, and I can send the link to individuals who are interested in joining us. We really want to have a grand finale. We have census. We were given a great opportunity for our outreach and engagement efforts to have a census grant, and so we have a few more dollars left where we could really do an amazing event. In the past, we've had AJ's ice cream truck to come out. Amongst all of our multifamily units, mainly in Ward 2, but we did also visit Ward 1 with the thought of an ice cream truck. So you come, fill out your census, get a sweet treat, talk to your neighbor, social distance style with your mask on, and also given the opportunity to register to vote. We registered individuals to vote on using a paper form and dropped them off. We have a volunteer who dropped them off at the location. And then some residents chose to register online. And they got an email with their, when their ballot was being mailed out, when their ballot was on its way to their home, when their absentee application was approved. I mean, residents really liked that. So just giving them the options and educating them about that. So we will be meeting tomorrow. If any member of the public is interested, please contact the Bladensburg front desk staff and give your contact information to Miss Diane. She will have the Zoom link that she could send out. And Mayor James?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to be like the teleoperator. And that phone number is 301-927-7048. Again, that number is 301-927-7048. And if I may take the liberty, so our acting town clerk did send over to the acting town administrator and myself the latest round of winners for the 250 gift card, because we were letting residents know with our September efforts, if you helped us get to 60%, we would do a drawing with names and you would be considered. And drum roll, our winners are Miss Patricia Squires of 58th Avenue. So we'll be in touch with you. We have your address and email to give you your $250 gift card. And this one brings a tear to my eye because I know we have awesome people in our community, but to see someone who wears two hats, if not more, in the community win, Mr. Pernell Hall. Yay! Yes.
Make sure I did it.
Yes. So thank you both for coming out and completing your census and being a part of the contest. Again, you guys are walking examples of why this is so important, and for people to see. It's just everyday folks just taking 10 minutes to fill out their information in order to help our community. So thank you, Mr. Hall. Thank you, Ms. Squires. We'll get in touch with you all soon so we can deliver your goods.
They were completely random.
And they were completely random,
yeah.
yes.
And I go back, I had a reservation. I was like, you know what? He says a town resident, did everything, promoted.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so.
I did mine online.
And the rules didn't say you couldn't be an employee.
Yeah.
So the rules were just you must be a Bladensburg resident. So we are so
grateful. And it was right at that point where it just gets over 60. It's luck of the draw right there.
That's right. That's right. Good timing.
We did both of them, myself and my father. So.
Excellent.
No, I apologize. I didn't get his.
Okay. We'll get that. I know where he lives.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. We'll do more.
But thank you. And so next up on the agenda under community updates, I'll turn it over to Councilmember Lundy for a PGCMA update as well as MML.
Yes, thank you, Mayor James. All right, so I'm going to start with the Prince George's County Municipal Association update report from a legislative perspective. So our incoming president, Mayor Bernard Kane, has set the theme for 2020-2021 as Year of Change. Year of Change. So at our September 17th meeting was a virtual meeting, of course, due to our COVID-19 pandemic. So initial surveys were emailed as it relates to legislative priorities to PGCMA members in August of 2020. But the legislative chair, Mayor Colin Byrd from Greenbelt, has sent out another survey to engage more of its members. And those responses were due from members on October the 11th by 4 p.m. An email was sent to participating members about the new survey on Wednesday, October the 7th. So as you know, there are a lot of issues around the country, the nation, and the county, issues as relates to municipal resources, revenue resources, police officer training, municipal highway user revenue, environment, education, property taxes, technology and transportation. So of these issues and other issues, PGCMA membership will be making recommendations of those legislative priorities we want to take on, and then I will get back to the mayor and council and report out on that. Thank you for the PGCMA. Now we'll move to MML, legislative priorities for 2021. So the Maryland Municipal League's legislative priorities and initiatives for the period 2020-2021. Our priority is legislative LR 2021-04 will be municipal highway user funding and restoration. Our initiatives, we have two initiatives for this particular reporting cycle. LR 2021 number 5 will be the environment, climate change, and LR 2021-08 will be technology, local assets and authority, and preservation. So those are the priorities for the Maryland Municipal League. Thank you, Mayor James.
Great, thank you for those updates, and those, certainly our ears go up with the HURs and support for that continued funding, because for a small town such as ours, it does make a difference in our budget receiving those funds. So thank you again for those updates. At this time, we'll turn it over to Councilmember Blunt for an update on senior initiatives.
Can you hear me? Say, just kidding. I hope I can talk loud. Anyways, but working with the seniors now is kind of hard because I cannot get into the buildings. The building's on lockdown. But I have been in contact with the resident councils in Newton Green, Parkerview, and of course Emerson House, where I can talk to someone to give them food resources. And I know we concentrate a lot on food resources, but what we really need, and I know you have the program, is people that will come in to maybe offer cleaning for people who can't get out or families can't get in, to offer that type of help. That's what I'm saying, that seniors really need someone to come in to assist with things like that. We love the food resources, but we are overwhelmed with food. Also, I do have a lot of things that
be working on, and I'll be giving it to Mr. Tonelli to maybe add to his bulletins. We're trying to connect with seniors that's in the community. I have no way of connecting with the seniors in the community. So again, if you all call Diane and leave your name and your phone number, then I can connect to you. I can assist you with what things that you may need or updates of things you may need. And you just call Diane and she will give me the information. Also, working with Mr. Tonelli with trying to get the caller bus for Como Manor, trying to see how we can best use that bus. Because now I know it's only 3 people using it. I just need more updates of how to use that bus so that more people can use it. Right now, the same people is using the bus, and it's not getting used throughout the town, only Emerson House. And we're getting hit hard with that, so hopefully a way to fix that up. And also, again, I was just tasked with this, so you'll be hearing more from me. If you need me, the only way I know you need me if you call Diane. But right now is only a little I can do inside the buildings because I can't get in. But you all know how to call me on my cell or call Diane and she'll let you know how to reach out. So that's all right now.
We couldn't tell you just got asked to do this. That was a lot of good information, Ms. Councilmember Blunt. Good job.
I would have kept going.
And next up, I'll turn it over to Councilmember Rout. We did have a larger flood update and discussion, but just for those who may have missed the work session, we just want to fill you in on the happenings surrounding the flood event.
Yes, thank you, Mayor James. So we have, the town of Bladensburg has definitely been working on behalf of the residents that have been affected. There is a Prince George's County assessment that was sent out in our weekly e-blast. In addition to Delegate Ivy has sent it out, Senator Augustine has sent it out. I mean, we really needed information as it relates to individuals and assessing the damages within their home. With that being said, that there's a certain threshold that needs to be met for federal relief to come to Prince George's County, because there are multiple municipalities that were affected. And so what happens is once the resident fills out the assessment or gets assistance filling out the assessment, then that goes to the Office of Emergency Management. And there are code enforcement officers, there are inspectors from Office of Emergency Management to verify the information, which is then used to send a report up to the state of Maryland, MEMA, so that they can apply on Prince George's County's behalf. Based off of the information that has been assessed so far, it's unfortunate that that this entire area affected by the flood did not meet the threshold as of yet for federal relief. And so the Office of Emergency Management and Maryland Emergency Management, they are collaborating and partnering to see what other resources, such as small business loans, such as volunteer organizations that the state has memorandums of agreement or memorandums of understanding, where volunteers who are vetted will come into the home and take out the damaged walls and the molding areas. There may be some spraying mitigation that takes so that the black mold can die, in addition to the flooring taking it up. And so at this time, we are unfortunately in a holding pattern because we did not meet the threshold. Well, as of yet, we have not met the threshold. But then we are reaching, well, the Prince George's County Director Gill has reached out to the state to see what other assistance can we render to those affected. Because a lot of the homes, although they were affected with maybe 2 feet of water, maybe 4 feet of water, they were not totally destroyed. And so the threshold needs to be met for homes that were destroyed. And so unfortunately, so far, we are not there yet. But it doesn't mean that other mechanisms cannot be met, such as small business loans. With that being said, our wonderful Town of Bladensburg Police Department, they have a system where they are able to refer town residents to partnering organizations through an application system called Unite Us, that they will be able to see what our individual residents need, such as maybe clothing and shelter, possibly workforce development, food to something that satisfies food insecurities, possibly anything that a person may need in a state of crisis. Our community action team is able to complete the assessment with the residents and then make the actual referrals. I mean, anything from like furniture to like small kitchen items. I mean, it is a really, really robust system. And I want to publicly thank Councilmember Marilyn Blunt for bringing that system to the chief's attention, and for the Chief Collington to really make it embedded in all of the work that our officers do. We had a presentation about a week ago, and our officers are trained. They know about this system, so they know when they have a response, when they have someone who may need it. They know who to go to, and they can follow so that our residents get the help that they need. So if there's any resident that is in need of assistance, we have our police department community action team that is able to act and respond to residents' needs. And so we're not at the end of what it is, and I know it's really hard for families because their homes are still affected. Mayor James and myself, we have been speaking with a lot of the residents that were affected in Ward 1. Specifically so that we can have a meeting with the county, with the resident association, with the homeowners association at the property and the property management at one particular location in Ward 1, so that we can all hear the same thing and put our heads together and brainstorm how we can be able to help each other. This is what true community is about, and I think that our staff, the council, we have done a phenomenal job with attempting to meet the needs. And so with that being said, we also brought up maybe the town can have some type of relief effort in relation to the needs of our community. And so I want to yield back to Mayor James. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that update. And again, following the flood meeting that we had last week, the staff is putting together some criteria to bring back to the mayor and council so that as it relates to resident relief, the criteria is crystal clear. There are rules and parameters because, let's face it, some of us need rules, and so you can't have the same people coming back to the well repeatedly and taking resources from others. So staff are putting that together, and we're grateful for that. Again, if you're a member of the community and you need to get in touch with us to go through the initial assessment, it's just a quick questionnaire that either Ms. Griffin or Ms. Brooks in the community action team, they can take some general information from you to get you started. If you call Ms. Griffin, that number's 301-927-7048. If you call the community action team office, the number's 301-927-8126, and just ask for Ms. Brooks in that office, and they'll be able to assist you. So with that, that completes our community updates. I'd like to move on with our COVID-19 update from Mr. Tonelli.
I just want to update the mayor and council, and also to the residents that may be watching, the business owners. The town offices are open. They're closed to the public to walk-in services. Town staff are here working every day. The phones are covered. If you have any questions, please call. Someone's always on site. We do have some people that are teleworking because of complexities with the distance learning with the county, and we're not penalizing those folks. I mean, that's no fault of their own, and all the work is still getting done. Mayor, I think you said that during the work session that we are finding that we can do things differently, and we're using those resources. And one of the things that we talked about also in the work session about getting laptops for everybody is through this COVID-19 grant funding, which I'll get into next, likely, is because the county is encouraging teleworking still. And as Chief pointed out too, that we are in a high-risk area of this coming back again very soon. So we're getting all the pieces in place in case we got to move. It's going to be a more transitional, planned out move instead of a shutdown, lockdown like we had to do on March 31st. But hopefully before then, we'll have a new phone system up and going where we can route calls. Even though, calls come in here, they may be going to, somebody off-site, and they're picking them up, and they get transferred off-site over to Public Works, which is not on our phone system, because even though I can see the building from here to there, we're on an old system, and that's a totally separate, thing, so we can't just transfer calls to there. So we're working out all things with teleworking and everything, as well as, to give the flexibility to those staff members who have to be home during the day because of school instruction, online school instruction. So again, the office is open. It's not available for walk-in services such as what we used to do with
Notary.
Notary, thank you. Chief, I think y'all are still taking walk-ins over there to pay tickets and fines, or they got a buzz in on the outside. So because it's not everybody's on, but not everybody may be in the building. So that's why we said the walk-in services. Plus, we have very tight quarters, so we try to limit what we can do and trying to keep distance and trying to keep everybody spaced out. It's already difficult here. We bring in, that outside element, and it becomes even more difficult and everything. So I just want the residents to know that we are here working. Public Works and Public Safety is always on, communication is always on 24 hours a day, COVID or not. They're on. Public Works is always on. If they're not in, they're on call. They're right here. But they're fully staffed again. So that's what I have right now.
Great, that's perfect, and hopefully the community finds that update valuable. We're going to stick with you a little bit longer as we start talking about the financial business from the COVID grants through the CARES Act.
Some of the things that we talked about in the work session, they're not going to make it to the agenda this evening because we're going to wait on some more information, but under the Prince George's County under the CARES Act, Prince George's County received funding to push out to the municipalities in a grant format to apply for the COVID funding. And Town of Bladensburg got $575,000 to expend between March and through the end of this year, and this calendar year, I should say, December 31st. And a lot of that was slated for overtime and expenses associated with overtime coverage because we went to hazard pay environment when we were completely shut down, and only the essential personnel were paid hazard pay, which is public safety and also Public Works when they were in. Because those are essential services that you need no matter what to keep residents safe, protected, to keep the areas clean, and anything and everything to contain, distance, contain, and everything else. Some of the other things that the county funded was communications in order to get the word out and to serve the residents in the pandemic, which improves your IT infrastructure so you can do it remotely, which is why we also are getting laptops to encourage teleworking in case we got to shut down again. We have a laptop that's still in the system because I know for us when we left, you had to take the big desktop units home like I did, or you still have to come in no matter what, because all the data's here. We're built to operate in-house, not remotely. Also, a big part of that is what I touched on the work session, where we have quotes and all this, but I want to firm these quotes up before bringing back to the November meeting, or even before that. But one of the things that other counties have done when they have their own DES system, Department of Emergency Services, they have their own ambulances, EMTs, who can respond to crisis to serve residents. We don't have that as far as ambulance services, but we do have Bladensburg Volunteer Fire Department, number 9 next door. who's taken a big financial hit this year because of the pandemic, because they can't do their fundraising efforts, and also calls for service were down. That's true, I guess.
That's correct.
Yeah, calls for service, I forget what the percentage was, but people were scared to go to the hospital. You know, you went to the hospital, you didn't want to go to the hospital first. It was only for true emergencies. So calls for service were down, which they can bill insurance for, which helps offset their costs to run all this equipment. My office backs up right to the firehouse, and I know yours is right next to it. I mean, they go out multiple times a day, every day, multiple times a day, and they're serving primarily Bladensburg, but the whole community, and they're 100% volunteer. So what I'm getting back to is, even though they're separate, but they serve our community. I went to the county, and the mayor can talk about this, and Sean can too. The ambulance they have, which primarily is always out, seems like on the road, it's at the end of its useful life. And it's not even outside of useful life. It's also at the end of its maintenance life, and you know, it's everything. They need a new one because they can't be down. So I asked the county can we buy at least a cabin chassis, which is the start of the ambulance, through the town, and not say gift it, but you know, have that in the grant for Bladensburg Fire Department to use, because they don't have the administrative infrastructure to apply for this grant. We have it. It serves our community. The county approved it. So they've gotten one quote already, and we're going to wait on at least one more, if not two more. And this is just for the cabin chassis, and it's under $100,000. But the real cost, which is at least 3 times that, is when you put the box on the back. The box is the actual ambulance portion with all the medical equipment fully outfitted. You know, it's basically a mobile life-saving station on wheels. So if we can give them the seed money, and then they can go ahead and spec out what they want from there. So, Sean, I'm going to turn that over to you in case I missed anything. So
No, he's 100% right. With the fire department, I'd say probably greater than 50% of their calls for service are medical service calls, not only within the town of Bladensburg, but within the Port Towns community. And as town administrator said, it has served its life. It's, you know, so.
When we see you come back up the road on the back of a rollback because it broke down, that's what we say to people, nothing saved.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah,
it can't save itself, and to see it, you know, a couple times being towed back is not good, especially because the calls, they keep coming in. I mean, fortunately, when I did my ride-along, it was before COVID, so to hear the siren going off in there constantly, you understand from a different perspective just the volume of service that they provide every single day. So again, the idea is really they provide service to our residents, and we want to help them to be able to continue assisting you all with any sort of medical emergencies you may experience. So thank you, Mr. Tonelli, for that update. And again, we will have to just get more information from the team before we can make decisions regarding the chassis or that whole donation for the fire department for the ambulance, the base, as well as the Blackboard Connect system and the phone system. We just need a couple more bids, and then if necessary, we'll convene a special council meeting and we'll put that information out to the community so you can listen in or watch. But just want to make sure we follow our processes on that.
I just want to set the table so when we come back, you know, it's all, you know, so it's just, you know, we're working on it, and, you know, it's time's a factor because, you know, getting ready to come to the end of the grant period, but also getting ready to prepare for another big what-if scenario. So it's, you know, yeah.
Thank you. Any questions? I know we talked about it quite a bit in the work session, but I'll still ask any questions from the council. Doesn't look like it. Okay. And so sorry, Councilmember Rao.
Yes, Acting Town Administrator Tonelli, do you know if we will be looking at the outline for residents to apply for relief related to the flood that the town of Bladensburg? Is there a timeline that we can expect that application? I know residents, you know, have asked, like, is there anything that the town can do? I know, you know, we all agreed and we gave a skeleton, but is there maybe a week or two?
As far as like the tool the county put out, Is that what you mean?
Oh, sorry, this is in reference to the meeting last week.
Oh, I'm
how we
sorry.
talked
Okay,
about
okay.
the criteria.
Good. Okay, I was going to bring before you the a budget amendment because we talked about moving possibly $10,000 out of the community events line item and putting that over into like an emergency needs line item at the discretion of the town. I didn't bring that before you tonight because I wanted our staff to come up with some sort of guidelines, so it's not just a blanket, we want, all things you talked about that are brought up at the meeting. I think you said you can't apply for, we talked about things like
Check your insurance.
Yeah, you have to have flood insurance afterwards if it's for flood related, or if you don't have any insurance at all, you have to get some sort of homeowner's insurance afterwards. You can't apply more than once every 3 years. So I want to get all this straight before we put that out there. So we're not, I hate to say this, but not that we would, but making up as we go along. So rather get on in writing and just say here, this is going to be part of the budget amendment to put funds over here. And $10,000, that's what we talked about. It's something to help, but when you lost a lot, it's a drop in the bucket, unfortunately. So we got to find the best way to divvy that out as well. Maybe cap it, a certain, because we're not just talking about flood damage. It could be, snow-related weight on the roof damage falling through. It could be other weather events. We talked about whether the last large one was a derecho back in 2012. Gosh forbid, like tornadoes or anything come through here, so it's, $10,000 sounds like good seed money, but, it's just,
Just a token.
Yeah, but, it's something to help, relocation or get moldy stuff out quickly, just something that, that's just meant to, quick action. It's not meant to sustain anything long-term, and that's kind of things we want to bring back to you.
Not shopping.
So would we be able to add that on to the agenda if it's ready? Maybe add to that special work session? Special council meeting, sorry.
Yeah, that's a good recommendation. If it's ready, I would say at that time, but I wouldn't want to hold the meeting up on the financial things that we need to address, like the phone system and black box. If it's not ready, if it has to be.
It can be COVID related too. It's, so it's, one of the things too is that, if there's a budget amendment, I can do an emergency budget amendment, which means it can be brought up and passed in the same meeting, or a normal budget amendment where it's introduced at one meeting and then passed at a subsequent meeting. So if we do a work session, could bring it up there and then maybe pass it, because that is an open meeting, and then pass it at the official council meeting, because it doesn't have to be a set council meeting, it just has to be brought up at a meeting, at an open meeting. Yeah.
Great, thank you for that. And at this time, we'll move into department reports. I know we talked about probably a lot of things flood related, which I imagine is part of everyone's monthly reports, but does anyone want to forego them due to the timing, or if there's certain highlights that you want to hit? I'll start calling them off, starting with public safety.
Well, I'll make mine quick, Mayor and Council. Good evening, Mayor and Council, community, and staff. Oh, he got me on the 3-minute time. See what's happening?
If I'm going to be on, you're going to be on.
Here's the evaluation.
All right. You're going to do my evaluation,
But I just want to say, first and foremost, I want to thank our staff for the incredible job that they did on September the 10th. I know we talk a lot about the flood. But I tell you, just to see the staff work as a unit, we called in additional staff, and everyone stepped up above and beyond to make sure the community stays safe. When I watched our staff out there just put themselves in harm's way to make sure residents they had to help residents and drivers get out of cars. Homes were flooded. We opened up the community, the town hall, so that we can have people temporarily stage in here until at least the storms reside, and then the water levels rescinded. But on top of that, as a chief, I just want to say to the community that I really, truly appreciate the support that they have shown to the officers. We're dealing with the pandemic. We are dealing with so much mistrust between law enforcement and community. And when we had our community conversation last week, I want to thank the community again for chiming in with the nice comments, the support that the officers do, because this is challenging times for all of us. You know, this is unprecedented time. We're dealing with flood, you know, dealing with, you know, police misconduct and things like that. So this just prompted us to want to make sure that our Bladensburg police officers are performing to the satisfactory level that the community deserve and expect from our officers. We aren't perfect, but we are trying to get things in order. We are trying to rebuild, reorganize. And that one thing that we are doing is a lot of training now, because we have had situations where officers did not handle situations properly. And in doing so, we looked at bringing on some new training software so officers do get trained. So I'm just, you know, excited about the work that the officers are doing. Just to go back to Councilmember Rouch's point about calling out the resources for our residents affected by the flood, one other additional resource that they can use to connect with us is through the community services at bladensburgmd.com email. You can email, and that email will go right to our community action team. In addition to that, just want to talk about a couple of things that we are doing additionally in the police department, and that is this week we just implemented a new accommodation system, because our officers they put this uniform on every day, they come to work. We were the only division that never shut down through the COVID pandemic. You know, and I saw officers coming in and we were looking out for each other. We did have a couple, unfortunately, test positive for the COVID virus. And we all came together, got ourselves, you know, healed, and kept going on to keep the community safe. So in doing so, some of the good work that the officers do every day, they aren't rewarded for it. So we wanted to come up with a new award system, accommodation system. So if you look in your you can, you know, everyone can read about it later. But if you look on the police monthly report, the last page, you will see the new ribbon system that we implemented in the police department. And so I know that was one thing that Councilmember Mendoza and I had a couple conversations on. He's been asking for a long time, because he, his service to the country, as well as with the Boy Scouts. Even though it's a minuscule ribbon, but the value of it, that the hard work that you do to put a ribbon on is very rewarding, and it gives them a sense of confidence and pride in doing the job. So we want to keep the morale of our officers high. Just talk about two last things, and then I'll get out your way. I want to talk about we want to thank the community and our staff again for coming out with us on October the 7th for our National Coffee with a Cop event. We were up in Ward 2. Councilmember Lundy came out with us. Thank you. Yes. It was a great turnout out there. We got to interact with some of our residents. We've met a new family that moved into town, and we even had a 4-year-old come up, and it was a pleasure to speak with her. And she unfortunately didn't make it back. We gave her a coloring book, told her if she colored, we would post her because she really wanted to be a police officer. Aww. So those are the impact that our community outreach do with our community every day. And I just want to talk about this Saturday. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And we want to invite our community to come out with us at 6 p.m. For our theme, Let's End the Abuse Candlelight Vigil will be held right here at Town Hall. We're asking everyone that if you come out, you must wear your mask. You must practice safe social distancing. And we will have this at 6 o'clock. We will have a few speakers. Councilmember Rout will be one of our speakers, and a few others, Mayor James. And so we're looking for the community to just come out, because we understand that domestic violence is a serious crime that involves physical, mental, and emotional abuse. It's something that's frequently not even reported because of the fear of retaliation from the abuser. So in doing so, when we do this, we want to make sure that we take time to observe those who were killed by their abusers. Because this is something that is very, especially now with the COVID, we have noticed within the police department a spike in domestic violence calls. So if you know someone, please call the domestic violence hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Or you can definitely call the Bladensburg Police Department, and we will, throughout, again, our community action team, we have resources to help victims of domestic violence. And that's all I have enlisted. Any questions?
Great, thank you for that information, Chief. Are there any questions from the council or staff?
Actually, I'll take a minute, Chief's. Give myself a couple minutes of Chief's time. The trunk or treat, if you want to.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry. We will be having the trunk or treat event coming up on October the 30th. And that will be at the community center up on Emerson and 57th Avenue. And that will be from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we don't want people to, we will put the candy in vehicles, sort of like our food drive-up. Those that, for our walkers, we would handle them as well, while supplies last, because we know a lot of people may come out driving up. So we want to put that disclaimer out there, while supplies last.
That's right.
But again, that's from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
So if you didn't catch that, that means get there closer to 5 and not closer to 8 p.m. or you may be disappointed. But thank you, Mr. Tonelli, for reminding us about having Chief give that update.
And if I could say just one more thing, please. I'm sorry. I do want to take a minute to thank our Public Works Supervisor, Mr. Cornell Hall, and his crew for the amazing work that they've done for us in the police station. But if you look at the floors here today, he was here this weekend with his crew making sure these floors got done. So I want to give a shout out to Mr. Hall for an outstanding job being a leader in the organization.
Thank you for that, Chief, and thank you, Mr. Hall, as well. We certainly appreciate your commitment coming in, when no one else is here, you and your crew taking care of things. Definitely appreciate it. With that, we'll turn it over to code enforcement.
Most of mine was flood related, and the chief hit it spot on, so I'll go ahead and.
Sounds great. Thank you. Public Works?
Yes, I got, I just want to, recommend our guys, as everybody said. I've been here going on 12 years, 13 years, and in 1 month, our Public Works crew picked up 16.19 tons of material, damaged material, condominium, and building pickup. Now, you got 21 working days in a whole month. I know everybody think when you say a month, you got 30 working days. But in 21 working days, this crew picked up 16.91 tons of debris. And I think that was very excellent. We don't even do that in the leaf pickup season.
I was just about to say, that is a larger number than the leaf, number that you report out every season. That is incredible, and thank you guys.
That's in addition to the normal.
That's right, in addition to the normal stuff.
Street maintenance, everything else.
And a beautiful floor.
But I just want to thank, I want y'all to know how hard that they work. It's just sometimes you see us riding around, but when we riding around, they inspecting, they, jotting down things for tomorrow to do and whatnot like that. But I just want to give a round of applause to them guys right there. Yeah. And also, our leaf season will start November the 16th, we're gonna start a little bit early this year because of, you know, as everybody can see, the leaves are falling a little bit quicker than normal. We normally start after Thanksgiving, you know, due to people getting a big, you know, nice little good old meal, and then after the meal, they want to work some of that food off and bring some of them leaves out there. So we're gonna start a little bit early for them, and then we're gonna end up the 15th of 2001 in January. So I just want to give a heads up to the town there. The leaf vacuum will start November the 16th and will end January the 15th, 2021.
Great, thank you for that, Mr. Hall, because it is the time to start thinking about it, especially given the large volume of trees we have in our community. So if we could, Mr. Tonelli, just start putting that in the weekly e-blast, just to start driving it home so people know. And it may prevent calls for people asking, when does it start, if we just go ahead and start giving them a heads up now.
Diamond, she started at it should be in your, what was it, the town cable?
Okay.
Yeah, she started Thursday.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And acting town administrator / treasurer Tonelli. You want to forego or any hot topics we need to hear about?
Just a couple things. Financial wise, the good thing is we're under budget. You know, I mean, we're treading cautiously because we don't know how it's going to impact our finances. So far, revenues have been holding. We are in the fall dip before the large amount of revenues come in. So we always operate out of loss through the first 3 to 4 months of the year. But even though our budget's higher, our loss is smaller than previous years because our expenses are down. I mean, and a lot of that is because we've had some vacancies, and we're also not as active, meaning we're not having the community events, the outside community engagement. We didn't have the fireworks this year that we planned on. So expenses are down, but we still have the normal expenses that we have to pay. So we're treading lightly, but at the same time, you know, there are some things on there like capital purchases. You know, I told the chief, you know, we're going to spread out the capital purchases, mostly the vehicle purchases this year, but we're finding out that the older vehicles are just not making it. And it's a process to purchase vehicles, to order them, to get them in, to get them outfitted and on the road. So we started that process early. You're not going to see that in the expenses yet, but you might see it next month or the following month when it hits. But, you know, it's better than, you know, we haven't been able to stay up on our vehicle replacement schedule, and we really need to fund the funds to get back to doing that, because we just can't be down, because it costs, not only costs when it's down, but, you know, but then you're down officer trying to shift things back and forth, lose time. And it's just time and money, you know, it's time not spent on the road, protecting the town. We got to worry about, you know, why's my car in the shop, you know, so it's, and then transfer everything over. So that's what I have on the financial piece. To piggyback on what Chief said, you know, it's really, you know, it's nothing like, you know, we see like, you know, town go through something like we did a month ago. You know, the boots on the ground, you know, the officers, code enforcement, public works, but also back here in the office, I mean, just watch communications work, and to move resources around. Diane played a big part of that day because everybody was calling her because everybody knows call Diane. So you know she's trying to redirect help, calling Purnell, calling Sean, calling myself, calling Chief, you know, calling dispatch, and even you know our marketing Diane is putting out information. So it's just nice to see like the whole, you know, it's just boots on the ground, but also in the back office and over and communications work and everything. So we're fortunate that we have the staff and the 911 center because, you know, trying to get that dispatch through the county and everything, you know, I mean, we're on the front line. So it's nice that the residents call. We know exactly who's there, and, you know, so it's, so I'd like to piggyback on that. Last thing, our acting town clerk is going to be leaving us, so she will still be able to assist with some of our grant projects, but we will be advertising that very soon. So we wish Cecile the best of luck, and she's going and she's going back to her, to the nonprofit and strictly grant writing for organizations. That's all I have.
Great, thank you for that, Mr. Tonelli, and certainly understand the whole process with the budget. I was hoping property taxes would have had an influx on September 30th, but it looks like we didn't get that first hit like we did last year.
They normally come on October 10th. I'm thinking, maybe because of Columbus Day, we didn't get that update. I don't know, but either the county is still, but, I was hoping to have an update. At 5 o'clock, it didn't happen. So.
Yeah, understood, but we're in that window.
Yes,
so
we are.
Still in good shape, but thank you for that update. So that completes the staff reports. For the council, did you all want to forego or just highlight specific updates in your respective areas? I feel like we covered a lot in the community updates, but if there are other items, Councilmember Blunt? No. Okay. Councilmember Lundy? Okay. Councilmember Mendoza? Councilmember Rout?
Hi, good evening. Quickly, I just want, so my report will be, I guess, added to the, but there are a few things that are very, very important. Councilmember Jolene Ivy held a leadership meeting, and the Board of Elections came to that meeting, and specifically, there are a lot of deadlines that I wasn't even made aware of. And so I just want to highlight that if the deadline to request a mail-in ballot is Tuesday, October 20th. So it has to be at the actual Board of Elections to request it by that day. Even if it's time-stamped or date-stamped, it will not be accepted. So please, do not wait till the last minute if you have your application, because that is information that I feel like our public needs to know. In addition, the same with your mail-in with your mail-in ballot, the application has to be received by the election office by 8 p.m. Early voting will be held Monday, October 26th to November 2nd, there are a few members in the community that have asked in Ward 1, do we know of a volunteer pool? And that's something that they can contact our receptionist, Ms. Diane Griffin, about if they need a ride to the polls, or we'll try to figure it out. Lastly, if you would like to register to vote, the deadline is 5 p.m. Tuesday, October 13th. Now that is coming shortly. If members of our community do not register to vote, we are in a very difficult place. So I just urge all of us to get out, vote, because your voice is your vote, along with mammograms. If this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and if males and females can get mammograms. So if you would like that, you can talk to your physician for that. I yield back.
Thank you, Councilmember Rout, for those important updates. I know there's much more in your report, but just to tag on, I do want to, oh, sure, go ahead, Mr.
About
Tonelli.
the voter registration numbers, it's just not voting at the same time, but it's also the amount of aid that we could receive, because people look at, how engaged is the community. At Bladensburg, the town, the mayor and council and staff go and meet our state reps, our federal reps, and we have all these asks, but we have a very low voter turnout population. It looks like that, it's like we got to show more that, the community is engaged, and that is an easy way to say, we have so many registered voters who participated in this election. It's so much easier for us to go and make these asks when you see a lot of big numbers saying, this community is engaged, they get out to vote, they're concerned. So that's the other piece that's very, very important with the voter registration and voting piece. It's not just, this candidate versus that candidate, it's getting out the show, so.
Yeah, I'm glad Vito said that, and I give you an example. You have the town of Cheverly, and you have the town of Bowie. They're really big, and even in local election, a lot of people show up. So when the county EST needs to deal with them, they automatically have something to say about that because they know that everybody votes. Right. So it's not even about who you're going to vote for. The fact that you show up and sign your name that you voted, that shows a lot.
I would agree. Sometimes it is difficult when we have meetings with our county, federal, or state stakeholders, because one of the questions that they will ask is how many people in your municipality vote. So if you say, well, for municipal elections, maybe 500, but then presidential elections, maybe this number, it's not good. If they then turn around and say, well, the natural follow-up is, well, how many people do you have? And to hear the population compared to the voter turnout, it's just not acceptable, and it makes it difficult for us to advocate effectively for you, because if we're competing for resources against a Bowie or a Cheverly with a high, consistent voter turnout, not that they're going to not help us, but if you were the judgment maker, where would you put the resources? Would you put it in the community who doesn't really vote? They're apathetic, they don't come out and engage, or the community that does? So help us make the case for you and better advocate for resources by doing that. I'll give you a quick example. With the CARES Act, we received $575,000 from the federal government. Again, that was sourced out through Prince George's County for the municipalities. But that was based on our population, which again, was only counted as 60% in the 2010 census, right? So the other 40% of our population of people who actually lived here from 2010 to 2020, we didn't get resources to service them. So instead of, if let's say wish list, even if we had 80 or 85% response rate in that 2010 census, we would have gotten much more than $575,000 allocated to us. But it's all per capita. It's all based upon the number of people who are counted in your community, you know, on that level. So voting is important. I'm tying it back to the census. Yes, we need both in order to be able to properly advocate for you. We need you counted, and we certainly need your voice being reflected. As Councilmember Mendoza said, no matter who you vote for, we just need you to get out and vote to up our numbers and to help us be taken more seriously when we go to advocate on your behalf. And similarly, I wanted to say there's still time, but you do have to respond quickly, as Councilmember Rout said. I'm just going to drop this down for a second. Lord have mercy. To request a vote by mail application, just take your cell phone and text V as in Victor, B as in boy, M as in man to 77788. If you do that, just follow the prompts to request a mail-in ballot. There's still time, but you do have to respond quickly. The other thing to point out is we do have a ballot drop box in Bladensburg. It's located in the very front of the high school, so you don't even have to drive. You can just walk over there and drop your ballot in there once you receive it by mail. So please do take advantage of that. Again, I want them to see large numbers of those mail-in ballots going in there, so they see large totals from our population of residents to say Bladensburg is serious, they're committed, they're engaged in what's going on, and again, to make it easier for us to advocate on your behalf. And then just really quick, wanted to again thank Chief Collington for doing the community engagement forum a couple of weeks ago. When we had the rally back in June, that was one of the things that I mentioned that worked so well previously when we brought the community together. Not that we were going to agree on everything, but to have real conversations about what is and is not working in our community. That's where true change can begin, because we can set the stage as legislators and tell you all what we want you to do, but until we get the community to come out, to buy in, to engage, to tell us when we missed the mark and how we need to fix it, until we have that level of honesty and communication, we're not going to get the level of change that we need. And the young man, I can't think of his name, who came out, he was as real could get. He shared his perspectives, good, bad, and ugly, and I think it was so critical not to silence his voice, but to allow him to express his truth, and that was truly a powerful moment. So we heard good feedback. I look forward to the next opportunity to do another session similarly. And with that, I'll just conclude. A copy of the report will also be available online for more details. But with that, we don't, sorry, go ahead, Councilmember Rout.
Yes, I forgot to say that as well, but we also learned on the call, there's a lot of community hesitation about using those drop boxes. And did you know that those drop boxes are there's a security guard assigned to each drop box, 24/7. Someone is watching that drop box. So use the drop box. It's here in our community. We were advocating for one, not even knowing that there was one right here in our high school. This is in town. There are many municipalities that don't have a drop box in their actual municipality. So let's rock this vote, guys.
To Councilmember Raut's point, so I was coming home late one day last week, and I didn't see the car. Normally, you see the car of the person whose job it is to watch. But I guess this person maybe takes public transportation because he had his beach chair sitting there and he was doing his job, watching. He was not on his cell phone. He was observing what was going on. So if you drive by quickly, you might miss it. But I'm telling you, I've witnessed it. They are out there guarding those ballot boxes to ensure that if you cast your ballot, that they're received by the Board of Elections and counted. And I'm sorry, Councilmember Blunt.
I just want to give a shout out to Emerson House. We have 143 people who actually voted by absentee.
So I think I just heard a challenge, Newton Green and Parkview, if you're listening. Come on. Sidebar. If you need help, call us. We'll help you get them. But with that, we don't have any unfinished business for tonight, but we do have a newish business item, which is the State Highway MOU. This is an agreement that we've had in place for several years where State Highway Administration pays our Public Works Department to maintain the grassy area near the Peace Cross. So it's time, the old agreement has expired. It is time to revisit. I know, Mr. Tonelli, you mentioned that it's with legal right now under review, but it's sort of, I guess, serendipitous that at the same time, Senator Malcolm Augustine reached out to me and was asking if we would consider taking on the Kenilworth ramps up here by Bladensburg, the Bostwick House. And the reason for that is State Highway does not take care of Bladensburg maintenance the way that we do, and they're willing to pay us to add on to the existing MOU that we have. So it seems like a great opportunity for us to take advantage of. So wanted to just mention that was put on the table. And I will tell you, the good thing about Senator Augustine's involvement is there were challenges with getting the payment for the last 3 years from State Highway Administration. Once his office got involved, things started moving. And so I want to keep that partnership going because it shows that we're willing to take things off their plate where we can. We're not trying to say we're taking over all state highway roads maintenance in the town, but the ramps, I will tell you, they look horrible at times. It's like they come, they cut, they don't pick up the trash. They're just not well maintained, and I personally believe we can do it better. So something to consider would be certainly adding that on. So I know you all have a directors meeting coming up later this week. So if you could talk through that.
It's on the agenda.
Okay, perfect.
So
perfect.
Purnell's smiling.
Right, here he is.
No, I mean, I'm emergency response, so I try to come up and think about the quickest solution right then and there.
Yeah.
Number one, state road, we got to close it down. So, I mean, it's just certain things that you can do on their roads and everything, and we have to shut that ramp down.
It's dangerous.
Yes, very dangerous. And we think about it, but we're coming up with a solution.
Yeah. Because, I mean, as I said, there's normally a lot of pieces to the puzzle when things come, ideas are brought, staff has to, they look at it from boots on the ground perspective in all different areas too, public safety, public works, code, you know, and then administrative piece. So we'll bring that back to you all.
It's not saying that we can't do it.
Yeah,
we
but if
will
you
do a
could just
better
talk
job.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we want
just
to put
talk
all our
about
ducks
it.
in a row first.
Yep.
You know.
And that's the reason why I contacted us, because he knows Bladensburg does it better than
Exactly.
you know, so it's, you know.
So if you guys could talk about it when you guys meet this
Absolutely.
week, and just, you know, let me know so I can get back to him with an answer to
No
say,
problem.
yes, we're
No
interested or
problem.
not. Because if not, they need to figure out another solution, because it's not acceptable the way that it looks. So,
Yeah, we'll definitely.
okay, and then do you think Ms. Ferguson will have the agreement finalized for review?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same agreement every year. I gotta tell you, I just, you know, going back, I mean, I think it's going back to 2005, I would say. It was every 3 years.
2 or 3.
And I just haven't signed up, even though we are doing the work. I mean, we currently are doing the work, we never stopped doing the work, I just haven't signed over, we're waiting for, how about the past funds that are due us. So, you know, they want it, they need it, but at the same time, we need to be reimbursed, so it's, but we're working on it. It's only $3,000 per year, but still, it's money.
But it's still money,
Yeah,
that's right.
it's principal.
Yep. Councilmember Rao?
I'm just, so just, I know we're trying to get out of here. Could just quickly, I just want us to, I mean, I know you're dealing with it in the director's meeting, but I mean, if that's $3,000 per year, this has been the same for the last 5 years. So are they not taking into account cost of living, increases? You know, our staff, they do a phenomenal job, and they need to be compensated correctly. That goes into the major budget. So, I mean, this was, you know, 5 years ago. I mean, the economy has brewed and brewed. So, just a suggestion. So, I don't know if it can be negotiated higher or whatever, but just a suggestion, because it's, you know, it's 5 years that we can't have the same rate 5 years ago based off today. I yield back.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
thank
figure
you
that
for raising
I'll
that
figure
point.
back.
Perfect. All right. So that was the last item.
Last thing also, Mayor, I'm sorry. All the minutes that were approved and all the written reports will be on the website after tomorrow. And we're also going to post this on our YouTube channel, and it's also going to be on the cable channel. The YouTube channel, because we got comments last meeting that not everybody has cable. We were going to do this like a live stream on WebEx, but it wouldn't work with all the different mics trying to pick up everything and the buffering. So instead, we're going to try to, you know, to put this on our YouTube channel, and we're going to point folks to that as well.
Perfect. That's great. That's great. All right. So thank you all for your time tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn tonight's council meeting?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Rout. Is there a second?
That's second.
Seconded by Councilmember Blunt. I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
You did it right.
Do you want to email us, please?
Yes.